So I just wanted to quickly show and share this information with you, because this is something I've been thinking about a lot, is how to bioremediate on a mass scale. How to clean up toxic water and how to clean up toxic soil around the world. And at the same time, how to produce good food for ourselves, right? Because we all know agriculture is probably one of the most destructive things that we do to the earth, besides maybe mining. So mining and agriculture are two of the largest destructive things. So can we grow things without destroying the earth, and using natural farming principles and using biomimicry? And I think this little machine thing that I built here is kind of does that. So I'm just gonna go up here and kind of what it does. But I've been using this concept and talking to you guys about this here. This machine right here is the GrowBot, which is a bacterial mineral water machine. And what it does is it just grows biology. And this uses an air pump, which pumps air down and lifts the water up into a waterfall. And so it falls this gap, which is about, in my case, I have a 5-gallon thing, it falls about a foot down. And then it falls onto like minerals. So you can use lava rocks or blue rock or minerals that would absorb radiation or crystals or any type of super highly mineralized thing here to have it hit. And when the water falls and it hits it, it pulls parts of it out. It also changes the spin of the water. But also what happens is a biofilm starts to grow on here, which is just an aggregate of different bacteria and fungus and microorganisms. And when that biofilm starts to grow on there, it then solubilizes whatever rock it's growing on. So if it's growing on like a ruby or some sort of like super gem, it'll slightly solubilize it and put that extra minerals into the water. So you get highly, highly, highly mineralized water by using this process of dropping water onto rocks. What I found out is that in this process here is I've added char into it. So I took biochar, charcoal, and I added it in. And what happens is when it starts to go around and around, is that this water will reach some saturation point where there's too much minerals in the water, and then it won't get any more because it's saturated. But the char is a really good sponge or buffer that soaks up the extra nutrients. And so when I add char into this system and I circulate it around and around, and I circulate it for about 20 hours, you can take the nastiest compost tea into here and my natural farming ingredients. 20 hours, it tastes like coconut water. If you run this thing for 5 days, I've never seen more beautiful biology in my life. This thing is so bioactive with all this fungus and nematodes and bacteria. And because I've added the char into it, they've started to like go into the char, and there's multiple funguses coming off one char. So I'm getting really good cooperation and diversity in the biology that I'm brewing in this system. And so I feed it every day into here, but I run it for about 5 days. That's what this is here, that if this was an automated system, this would automatically squirt in your natural farming inputs every day, so that you could just turn this, plug it in, turn it on, and it would do its thing. So I've been doing this to grow biology at my house and to multiply the IMO and to put it out. But there's this other concept here, which is called like an earth box, which is basically water underneath, but not higher than the dirt. And the dirt sticks into the water from these containers and acts as like a wick. So it's not actually, the dirt's not in the water, but the dirt is wicking the water up. And so I think by combining, every time I've seen it, this has been a static system. So that means you filled up a bottom tank and then it wicked it up. There was no moving water underneath. But my thought is that as water always, moving water is living water and life providing. If it's stagnant and still, that's when it gets gross. But moving water, like a fresh stream, moving water is always fresh. And so if you can run this system, get your super biology, and then run it underneath these boxes, then they can wick up the water. And in this box, you put a bunch of like biochar and logs and other things that are going to provide for a really high fungal, high quality environment up here. And then you plant your plants in the top. And they're going to get watered because the microorganisms are going to pump the water all the way up to your plants up there. And so you're not going to get any mineral loss by it going down and washing out, as happens when we water our yards. You're actually going to get it all wicking up. So you're going to have absolute maximum nutrient retention in this soil area, running this super life boosted water underneath the thing. And so combining the GrowBot, which I presented before, with this new idea of kind of the earth box, created what I called a GrowBot. Because my friend, I was trying to explain it to him in the car, and I was like, he thought I said a robot, or something, I don't know, a growing robot. And he was like, what, a GrowBot? And I was like, yes, that is what I meant. So this is just a little different diagram of the pumping unit, but the same idea, that your pump at the bottom, that here at the bottom, your tank can actually be shaped like a vortex, and like a tornado, and it's going to spin the water better. And so spinning is also really good. It's another universal concept. So spinning your water down here, and then having, again, your waterfall at the top, all run by air. So there's no fan blades to cut up your biology. It's all just bubbles pushing it up. And then there's your in and out, which could go to multiple units. So it's just a pump there. And then I thought you could take the grow box like this, and what you could do in the case of, like, say you want to soak up the nuclear water at Fukushima, is you just put a glass or plexiglass cover over the top of this. You fill up shipping containers with the wood stuff, you know, all this bottom thing, and you just plug them in modularly so that none of the nuclear water will leak out. It's all passive, all being sucked up. There's no way for it to spill over a certain line. And your top is being grown with a lid on the top like that. So it's not going to like leak out the top. And then when you want to get rid of it, like say you move this shipping container in, it was there for however long it takes to soak up the water, then you move it out, you just cut off the whatever you use to soak up more nuclear stuff like vetiver grass or, I don't know, reeds or whatever material you use. You cut all those off, and then you put the lid of the shipping container back on, and you recycle the top of it. And so you could do a really modular system where you could actually run them like this in like a super grid and have them pumping and just have them to soak up, because they're generating like 400 tons of water a day. And so you'd have to have these systems like there to like soak up what they have, plus then the existing water, it's all nuclear there. But using bioremediation and these modular systems, I think this system would work. And in here, this is talking about the nutrients. It's too small to see up here, but basically a bunch of the good stuff from natural farming to really super activate the biology. And then you could even have individual units like that put in your house. And the reason I bring up this here also is because my friend is using a system like this to make his IMO number 4. So he's actually doing it with EM, he's not doing it with IMO, he's doing a different microorganism. But he's using a system very similar to this, where there's water underneath to soak up into the mill run to do his biology. So there's no turning of a pile, it's all done soaked up in a system like this. So it also, not only does your soil in your little box grow your plants, also when you're done, it's like an IMO 4 or number 5, you can just dump that entire container out onto your yard. And now, you know, it's not like spent, used dirt. It's like the best dirt you've ever had your hands on, because it's filled with all these super crystals that have been solubilized by this super system that's put it all in there with the ultimate biology. So that may seem a little far-fetched, but I'm pretty excited.
We start with the hollow eye.
Yeah, right? Yeah, no, and my idea is you make a pumping, like a unit like that, where you just have a shipping container that's full of these pumps, and then you just pump water from a river into it and then back out, and it biofilters it. So you could do any river, any lake, any Alawai, you could do you know, anywhere. You could hook it up to a, like, say you had an apartment complex and you wanted to have a no-smell disposal of your waste. Hook one of these systems up outside with a little shipping container, you flush, goes through the thing, clean water comes out the backside, plus good soil. And you're like, oh, thanks. And then this was just kind of the original concept, but anyway, that's my idea for that. So, but I'm doing active research on this right now at my school garden. I have the 5-gallon unit set up, and I'm just hooking it right now into the plant system. So I got the water system going, but now hooking both of those together. So I'll show you pictures when I get them. Should be good. Air. So I'm using an air pump that outputs about 100 liters of air a minute. So it's a lot of air that I then bubble up a pipe to lift the water.
If you've ever seen a deep water culture system, it's kind of like that. One tube goes, the air tube goes on the same tube that the water comes back up, which is the air pushes it up.
Yeah, it's like a straw almost.
You mentioned different enzymes or EMO stuff. What other type, I mean, what type of EMO type of stuff have you figured out as far as
well,
topical as opposed to maybe other primary?
No, basically I'm just following the recipes that are in the book in terms of dilutions, because that's pretty much the sweet spot. I put too much fish meal in sometimes, thinking, oh yeah, I'll super boost the fungus, but the thing actually just gets rancid. The most of my dilutions are 1 to 500 or 1 to 1,000 into this machine.
There's this stuff that I used to be able to get called manatee humate, and a great bioactive thing, but it also digested the cellulose and reduced the smell. And I haven't been able to find it when I actually run the process.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like humic acid of some sort, like some sort of alcoholic acid. Okay, so do you want to eat now? What time is it?
7 o'clock.
Okay, so we'll eat and then we'll do some fermented food after. All right.